Which is better, Folklore or Evermore? Are they Taylor Swift's best albums? And will we ever get a collection of songs in the same style again? I'm Dan, hi, and I'm here to talk about pop culture stuff that I enjoy and hopefully you enjoy too. And today, I want to talk about 2 albums that were surprise dropped during a global pandemic and that have since become some of Taylor Swift's most celebrated work.
I'm doing good, I'm on some new shit.
Can we just address the elephant in the room, right? Yes, I've got a spot on my neck. I've tried to get rid of it. I've tried to cover it with concealer. It's just there, and now you're not going to be able to stop looking at it because I pointed it out. But I wanted you to know that I know. So on July 24th, 2020, while we were stuck in our houses and not doing a lot apart from discovering new TikTok dances, Taylor Swift surprise dropped her album Folklore. I need to add an early disclaimer, alright? I wasn't a fan of Taylor Swift in 2020. I hadn't really dived into her music. I loved her singles. I knew what I knew. And I respected her as a person and as an artist. But I wasn't like a big fan like I am now, right? I wasn't a Swiftie. So I kind of missed it all because I was too busy working and looking after a toddler to know what new music was coming out. The world was listening to Taylor Swift's new album Folklore with all these beautiful ethereal songs. And I was listening to Cocomelon on repeat. And it didn't end there, because on the 11th of December 2020, the same year, Taylor Swift surprise dropped Folklore's sister record, Evermore. And Folklore and Evermore are sisters, right? Folklore is like a rich glass of red wine.
The dazzling peach curd apple to his Riesling Rioja.
And Evermore is a crisp white.
The muskmelon goodness to his oak Chardonnay.
Folklore is autumn and Evermore is winter. Folklore is a long walk in the cold air, while Evermore is sitting in an armchair under a blanket next to a roaring fire. Basically, the main difference, for me, in my opinion, is just vibes. But no, I think the main difference between the 2 albums for me is that Folklore is reflective, as is Evermore, but Folklore's quite hopeful. There's quite a lot of aspiration, optimism. It can be quite playful. It's like storytelling at its finest, right? And Evermore makes me want to curl up into a ball and weep.
Screaming, crying.
I just think Evermore's more real, like the emotions are more raw, and when you've got songs like Marjorie, Tolerate It, Happiness, Evermore, it evokes really strong, really real, raw, powerful emotions in the listener, which is magical. It's a magical thing to achieve as a songwriter. But in both albums, there's a power in the melancholy of Taylor's soft, echoey voice, telling stories of sadness and heartache and just so many things. I think Folklore is my favourite Taylor Swift album. Like, I think it depends on the mood, obviously, but if I'm feeling more like party, more poppy, if I want to sing along and boogie and, I don't know, maybe even have a bit of a rage, I would choose Reputation as my favourite album. I love that album. But Folklore is, I don't know what it is. I connected to it immediately. One of my favourite things about Folklore is the love triangle that Taylor explained beautifully in the Long Pond studio sessions.
This love that was this tumultuous thing.
Where you've got James and Betty and Augustine in this love triangle, which is more dramatic than Meredith and McDreamy and Addison, like in Grey's Anatomy, I swear. Cardigan is from Betty's point of view, and August is from Augustine's POV, and then you've got Betty, which is James's retelling of the story of his affair and how he is sorry for cheating on Betty and, do you know what, you're a piece of trash, James. There are so many lyrical parallels between those 3 songs about cobblestones and streetlights and cardigans and porch lights. Like, it's just so clever. Like, it's songwriting at its best, being able to tell a story that weaves its way through an entire album. Folklore feels like literature. I think part of that is in Cardigan when she sings about Peter losing Wendy, and obviously that brings up this story from our childhood that we all know and love of Peter Pan, and she's using it to describe this loss of love, and we can all relate to it. We immediately understand it. Then you've got The Last Great American Dynasty, where she sings about Rebecca, this woman who is famous and has this fortune and who has every single eye on her and her relationships. And obviously Taylor Swift can relate to that, and we can relate to seeing Taylor Swift having to deal with all of that, you know? There's also Invisible String. I didn't realise this until the other day, but Invisible String Theory wasn't made up by Taylor Swift. Can you believe it? But it's about, destined to be with somebody, no matter where you are, no matter in time, place, circumstance, any of that doesn't matter. You are destined to be with someone, and there's this invisible rope that's tying you together, that pulling and pulling and pulling until eventually you are together. And I love that song. Invisible String might be my favourite from the album. I don't know. Actually, no, it's not. I know what my favourite song from Folklore is. It's My Tears Ricochet. It's the track 5, which we all know are Taylor's most meaningful songs. And My Tears Ricochet, it from start to finish, it had me immediately. And then I watched the Eras Tour film in the cinema, and when she hits the floor, Also, My Tears Ricochet is sandwiched between Exile and Mirrorball. Like, those 3 songs consecutively, one after the other, it's perfection. Like, it probably is the best run of 3 songs on any album ever made. Like, I will say that. I'll say that with confidence. But as much as I love Folklore, it's inarguable to me that Evermore has the best songwriting. Just looking at Champagne Problems alone, it's storytelling and it's imagery, and this woman needs to write several books. In the Champagne Problems bridge, when she's like, "Your Midas touch on the Chevy door,"
Your Midas touch on the Chevy door.
it's so clever, because Midas obviously is the king, the mythical king, and everything he touches turns to gold. But everything that he turns to gold also kind of becomes useless, worthless. So he's turned this Chevy into gold. So on the outside, it's sparkly and shiny and rich and expensive, but don't work anymore because it's just solid gold. So on the inside, it's like useless, hopeless. And I just think it's such a clever way to talk about a relationship with a man who's asked you to marry him and you've said no. Like, yeah, on the outside, everything's golden, but on the inside, it's not functioning anymore. That's my interpretation of it, anyway. But the bridge just continues, doesn't it? It carries on, giving us all this imagery, like November Flush and Your Flannel Cure.
November flush and your flannel cure.
Like November Flush, she's cold, right? And his flannel cure, he fixes it. He fixes her problems. This dorm was once a madhouse. I made a joke, well, it's made for me.
This dorm was once a madhouse. I made a joke, well, it's made for me.
Like, is she saying that everyone thinks she's crazy? Does he think that she's crazy, so she belongs in the madhouse? Is that like, is that? That's how I interpret it. It's like her leaning into an opinion that people have of her, like this self-deprecating kind of remark, comedy, joke almost. However green our group of friends, don't think I'll say that word again. Like, what word won't you say again? I always assume that it's friends, like they have mutual friends, they're in a relationship, so this group of friends, she's going to lose them all when she loses him because she has rejected his marriage proposal. But what if the word is evergreen? Like, what if she is learning that people are fickle, people are choosing sides between him and her, so the word that she can't say again is it's evergreen. My friends are going to be here forever. You know? It's mind-blowing stuff. And then she draws back to the mentally ill kind of thing, and she says what a shame she's fucked in the head. Like, she has said no to this proposal, and now everyone thinks that she's fucked in the head, thinks that she's gone mad, thinks that she's got mental health issues, because a woman saying no to a man, she must have issues. It can't be that they're just not right for each other and that she is choosing what's best for her. Can't possibly be that. No. Yeah, Champagne Problems is a feminist masterpiece. Like, but the whole album is a lyrical masterpiece. Like, intolerate it. My love should be celebrated, but you tolerate it. It's absolutely gut-wrenching. I use my best colours for your portrait, and then later on, she says, I made you my temple, my mural, my sky. Now I'm begging for footnotes in the story of your life. Drawing hearts in the byline. Like, it carries on. It's pain, and then she, like, digs the knife, twists the knife.
Took this dagger in me and removed it.
It's... And then Marjorie, which is such a beautiful song about her grandmother who passed away, and it tells the story of losing an older person in your life so well. Like, it's so relatable. It made me cry the first time I heard it, like instant tears. But the part when she says, what should you sign your name Marjorie? Should have kept every grocery store receipt, because every scrap of you would be taken from me. I might have misquoted that. But when she says that, it's like, Oh, pain, so much pain. Because I remember when my grandmother passed away, when my nan died, and I'd find little scraps of paper all over the house where she'd written different things on, like shopping lists, or she'd written, she used to do like these anagrams from this TV show called Countdown in the break, the tea time teaser, and she'd write the letters down and cross them off as she like tried to work out what the word was, and like these things come back and you're like, and I don't have any of them anymore. And I'm like, yeah, why didn't I keep this stuff? Like, it's her, it's what is remaining of a person, and you can't keep it all, but you feel like you should. It's a grieving thing, all right? But yeah, so many lyrics. I'm going to read them because I can't remember everything. Your nemesis will defeat themselves before you get the chance to swing. That's straight out of a book. No one teaches you what to do when a good man hurts you. All the years I've given is just shit we're dividing up. Like, is that not the most brutal, heartbreaking, simple way of putting a breakup ever? Like, it punches, right? It just punches. But at the end of the day, long story short, I survived. Like, the whole album. And yeah, Folklore's lyrics are up there. They're equal measure, right? But Evermore, it just hits so much harder, and I think it's because Evermore feels so much real. Like, it feels like what she's singing about is real and personal, and we can all relate to it. And I even get that vibe from the Eras tour, like Tolerate It, the performance that she puts on with sitting at the table, laying the table, you have that piano intro, and then she's screaming at the man across from the table, and it's like, this is real, right? And it's almost like she wants us to know that this is real. This isn't like folklore. It isn't like Willow where I've got the balls and it's all witchy. This is like a real thing, a real moment. Like, sit here, watch it, feel it. This is theatre. Folklore and Evermore fascinate me because I find it really hard to place them within her discography. Like, before I listened to all her albums, I didn't expect these. I didn't expect it at all. And people said to me, they were like, oh, I'm so excited for you to discover Folklore and Evermore. And I was like, okay. And then when I heard them, I was like, right, I get it, because it's just unexpected. Like, I can't imagine, and I'm so envious of this, right? There's not many things I'm envious of in life, but a lot of them revolve around Taylor Swift. One of them is I wish I was there when she dropped Folklore and Evermore. I wish I knew all of her music, the lore behind Taylor Swift. I wish I knew everything so that I could really get a real sense of how incredible and shocking it was that she released Folklore and then Evermore. The other one is Reputation Stadium Tour. Like, I would give a kidney. I'd give both kidneys. Do I have 2 kidneys? Do I have 2 livers? Not strong on the biology. I'd give a lung to be able to go back in time and watch the Reputation Stadium Tour live. But I do think they stand out and sit apart from the rest of her discography and the rest of her eras. Like, the Eras Tour is a fascinating concept, but I feel like eras in Taylor Swift's world extend further than the album, the aesthetic and the music. Like, Red was like a bit of a breakout. It was her big singles like 22, I Knew You Were Trouble. Like, she really entered into the UK as well with Red, and it was fun and it was young and it was girly pop. Do you know what I mean? Like, that was, the whole era was a moment, and every era is. So when you look at Reputation, it's reclaiming her sense of identity in the world. It's reclaiming her fame. It's the snakes and the hiding away for a year, and it's the Kim and Kanye drama, and it's her response to it with Look What You Made Me Do music video. It's a lot more than just this is what the music sounds like, here are the themes of the music. It's about what happened at the time. 1989 again, like, with the short hair and the pop breakout. Like, it was her magnum opus, as people say. I can never remember those words. I always say alma mater, and that's something different. But it's like the pop breakout. She went from country star that was really making waves in the country world as a young woman to pop breakout sensation Taylor Swift. She was everywhere. Like, she was everywhere, which is part of the reason that, you know, all the drama happened, which we know. But these eras are much more than just the music. But I feel like with Folklore and Evermore, it's very much more introspective. It's about the aesthetic. It's about the lyrics. It's about the music and the feel and the vibe, because nothing was going on in 2020 when they were released. Do you know what I mean? We were at home. We were struggling. We weren't very happy. We weren't very happy, were we? Like, we've almost got a bit of Stockholm syndrome when it comes to 2020, I feel. Like, I look back now and I'm like, oh, it's lovely. I got to stay home a lot and, like, everyone respected my personal space. And I drank a lot and it was fun. And I did, like, Zoom pub quizzes with my family and friends. But in reality, I was miserable. And I wish I had folklore to get me through it. You lucky people. But yeah, her music is defined by eras. Lover was pastels and pride. It was the cheesy pop video song with Brendan Urie, Me. It was having a music video with so many queer icons, like the drag queens from RuPaul's Drag Race and the cast of Queer Eye and just so many people. And then the reunion with her and Katy Perry, and like it was joy and fun and it was light. And that whole era kind of has that feel, and she replicates that in the Eras tour with what she wears and with the lighting and the staging and the songs that she's chosen to perform. And like, I just feel like, yeah, Folklore and Evermore sit kind of aside from that. They're a little bit apart from that. But I absolutely love Folklore and Evermore. Folklore is one of my favourite albums of all time. Evermore probably is too. I know she said they were sister records, but to me it's like they're just two sides of the same coin. Like, it's really hard to separate them in a lot of ways. And I think these albums are really special. I think they're magical, because I don't think we're ever going to get something like it again from Taylor Swift. Maybe when she's older. But I think her releasing Midnights was a big statement to say, I've done this, and now I'm kind of moving on back to the world of pop, which is the world that I know, the world that I became known for. And yeah, and Midnights, again, as an era, was so distinct. Like, it is pop, and it's kind of a breakup album. I think we know that now. It's a breakup album. And songs like Bejeweled, when they make a statement, you know, I'm coming out tonight, I can still make the whole world shimmer. I think lyrically it is stepped up from her previous pop albums. I think she took a lot from Folklore and Evermore in terms of her songwriting and how that developed while writing those two albums, and put it into Midnights. But the vibe and the general sound of the album is just upbeat, it's funky. You've got kind of Karma, which is your cheesy pop song that you know and love from Taylor Swift. You're on Your Own, Kid. You've got Midnight Rain and Maroon, which is a new kind of sound and direction, but also like familiar from a Taylor Swift fan. I think the closest we've had since Folklore and Evermore is You're Losing Me, lyrically and sound-wise, and like the amount that it can break your heart. But otherwise, yeah, I think Midnights is a lyrical masterpiece with a sick beat.
Sick beats.
The beginning of the video, I asked a few questions. One of them was, what's the better album, Folklore or Evermore? Well, music is subjective, but in my opinion, Folklore is better because vibes. But Evermore has the better lyrics. I do believe that, which is kind of contradictory. But look, right, they are two top-tier albums from a top-tier artist. Like, it's hard to pick between, right? Are they Taylor Swift's two best albums? I think lyrically you can't really argue it. I think no matter what kind of style you prefer, whether you're more country and you like the debut, Fearless, Speak Now, Red kind of feel, if you're more pop and you like the more kind of 1989 and Reputation and Lover kind of eras, whether you do like the Folklore and Evermore and that's your whole personality, if they're the only two albums you've even listened to, because I know there are people that have only listened to those two albums, you know, whatever kind of era you vibe with more, I don't think you can argue that the lyrics and storytelling are the best in Folklore and Evermore. But it's hard to compare them against the rest of her discography because they are so different. But then it's hard to compare all of her albums. Like, how can you compare Speak Now with 1989? And how can you compare Red to Midnights? So you definitely can't compare Reputation to Evermore. Do you know what I mean? I know there were lots of theories and rumours that there was going to be a third album. People were calling it Woodvale. People were calling it all kind of stuff. I think I saw someone say that it would be called Seashore, because then it would all rhyme, like Folklore, Evermore, Seashore. And this conversation was going on when I first entered the kind of Swiftie fandom back in 2021. I'd love for her to do another one of these albums. I'd literally, I would give her all my money. Not that she needs it. She's a billionaire and I'm poor, but I would, you know, be very grateful if we got a third album to complete the trifecta. But I don't think it's going to come anytime soon. For now, we can just enjoy the re-recordings, can't we? What do you think's next? I think Reputation's next. We're getting Reputation. Announcement in February? Are we clowning? I'm clowning, alright? But I hope to enjoy this little deep dive. Can we call it a deep dive when it's not very long? Who cares? This little video about folklore and evermore. It was actually requested by my wife because she was like, can you do a video explaining the differences between them and whatever? And I'm like, well, not quite, but I can do a video explaining why I love them so much. So that's what I've kind of done. If you'd like my opinions on anything in the world of pop culture, please let me know. Let me know what your favourite is, folklore, evermore. What's your favourite song from those two albums as well? Like, let me know in the comments. If you did enjoy this video, please like and comment. Share it with a friend who also loves Taylor Swift, or a friend who should love Taylor Swift. And don't forget to hit subscribe. And I will be back soon with more of this rambling that I enjoy doing. So whatever. And yeah, hopefully this spot on my neck will be gone. Have you been staring at it the whole time? Because I've found it really hard not to stare at it myself. I'll be back soon to talk more about the stuff I love. And in the meantime, you can follow me on TikTok, Instagram, anywhere really. It's at Dan Cascio. And I have a podcast which is called The Two Big D's Podcast, which is on Spotify and Apple. And this time I'll remember to link it in the description. Okay, thank you. Goodbye.